Hello everyone, I'm here with Lauren Evanthia. She is the founder of the Organic Humanity movement as well as the hashtag Leave Our Kids Alone movement. She is traveling currently with her husband Desmond, who is on a tour promoting the direct elections campaign, and I thought it'd be a good chance to catch up with her again as well. Hello Lauren, thank you for being here and speaking to me a little bit.
Thank you, Justice.
How was your trip?
It went well. We have traveled through some of the Eastern Cape and gained some members along the way for the Organic Humanity movement, and it's great to see that the resistance to injustice is growing.
It certainly is, and we certainly need it. Your party, the Organic Humanity movement, I've mentioned in some of my past videos already, and you very explicitly are going against the grain of the globalist plan for the planet emanating from the United Nations. A lot of people following both my channel and your husband's channel, and I guess yours as well, are quite new to this area. So I don't think many people yet see the full picture of what we're getting ourselves into here, especially in terms of surveillance and restriction of movement and that sort of thing. So in terms of the United Nations Sustainable Development police state setup, how far do you think we are down that path already? How much more do we have to go? Let me put it that way.
I think we're probably very much there. Just firstly, to make it clear for the viewers who don't yet understand, sustainable development actually means population control. So whenever the UN or any government speaks about sustainable development, I'm sure as you know, they're speaking about how do we control the population, what do we need to do, and what measures do we need to put in place to control people's movement and behavior. And that's what sustainable development actually is. It has nothing to do with protecting the environment at all. And I think we are very much there. It's been fed to us so slowly that we didn't even realize we were giving our freedom away.
And now we're just in a fast track phase of it, because it was building up slowly for a long time, and now it's just, it's built around us.
The biggest blow to our freedom is that a real virus has been used to get us there, get us closer there. And I think just for one real life example, something that is seen in metros is these closed communities that have a lot of surveillance, and they're marketed as super safe and very nice, very small, but also very nice. And there's often a shopping center and a private school nearby. But these have surveillance cameras all around, monitoring both inside and outside, which is fine if you don't want people to burgle your home. But the minute you want to resist the regime, which every citizen has the right to do, it's over for you, because those cameras will 100% be connected to the local government. And the minute they see maybe 10 or more people gathering together, the government will send metro officers to come and calm down the crowd. So what we are doing is building our own prisons where we won't be able to resist the tyranny at the top. So we are really jailing ourselves.
Yeah, and look, I've seen stories in the press about how these cameras have allegedly helped to stop someone being kidnapped. They were already in the car. I think it was in Melville, this one specific example. And someone saw that happening, the woman being forced into the car, and they were managed to stop the people from getting away with her completely. She was still hijacked. She was still kidnapped, even though they did find her quite quickly. My point is just this has been sold to people as if this is going to be something that keeps crime away. It doesn't keep the crime away. It still happens if it's going to happen. You just hear about it maybe a bit quicker. It's not at all something that's going to stop crime. In fact, people who have done studies on this, it just shows that crime moves to another area. But their answer will be, well, we're going to cover everything with cameras. So the other point that I think some people may have seen this in the carte blanche insert that they did about Vumacam. I don't know exactly when, maybe a year ago. They said that these cameras, the control rooms where these things are monitored, people don't sit and watch the cameras all the time. They get triggered by what they call suspicious behavior. These things have algorithms that are supposed to check for suspicious behavior. Now, we don't know what is suspicious behavior exactly. They gave an example or two of someone close to a wall, peering over a wall, whatever. But these don't have to stay the same, do they? What is suspicious behavior now, or what is not suspicious behavior now, might be suspicious behavior in 2 years' time. I mean, just 6 months ago, it wasn't illegal for us to walk around without a mask. Mm-hmm. Now it could be illegal for you to walk around without a mask. So what do they mean exactly when they say suspicious behavior, and what guarantee do you have that it won't be suspicious in 3 years' time if you leave your house too often?
Mm-hmm. Or like in George Orwell's book 1984, even writing was illegal and he got into trouble for that. So we are moving into a kind of dystopian reality. And unfortunately, it's an ideological war that we're fighting, a war between giving government power to solve every problem that we face, or taking government away from power and being in charge of our own lives.
And a lot of this always, the way that this is always brought into our lives revolves around security, safety, the threat or fear of dying or being attacked. And I think we need to get back to a place where we solve more of those problems. You can't solve all of those yourself, but where we solve more of them ourselves, because honestly, I was surprised earlier this week. I unfortunately can't remember where I heard it, but somewhere I think it was an online YouTube video or something. Someone said something that I've told people a number of times over the past few years, and it's something that people must understand, that the police even they cannot protect you. Even if they really wanted to, they are not there when a crime is being committed. The best they can do, I always said they should issue the police with mops and buckets rather than guns, because what are they going to do by the time they arrive? And that's exactly what this guy in the video said, that the police are actually there to come after the event and basically just take notes about what happened when the crime is already over. You are the one that is there when the crime happens to you, and you and your immediate family, close circle of people around you, are supposed to be able to handle that, at least. So a lot of this is brought into our lives under the threat of or fear of being attacked and dying. And I think if we just take ownership of that responsibility a bit more, it won't be such an easy sell.
No, that's true. I think for decades we've been lulled into false sense of security and comfort being the worst, and convenience. And we've given up what should be a right, our freedom, in the name of safety and security, and it's wrong. And unfortunately, the longer we go on, the less freedom we're going to have, because every time there's a problem, what do ordinary South Africans say? The government must fix it. So it's like we've been indoctrinated to believe the government is the savior of all problems.
And that is the justification government needs for its existence, is that they need to do something for you that you can't. So the moment you start thinking like that, you're legitimizing their space in the world.
And their authority.
And their authority.
We give them their authority. And I think the one thing that the OM has based a lot of its things on is the fact that we rely solely on government and corporations for our survival. So to survive, you need food, water, shelter, some form of security, and something to keep you sane. That's all you need to survive, to stay alive. And we rely on the government and we rely on corporations for all of those things. For food, for clean water, for our sewage systems to work, for everything. We do nothing for ourselves anymore. The majority of us, absolutely nothing. So we've given our power away for convenience. And I think we have been lulled into almost complacency. It's easier to have an office job than to grow your own vegetables. For instance, it's that kind of mentality. We have fallen for the fruits of capitalism, in a sense. We keep the system going because we have addictions and weaknesses, and we crave after the shiny things that capitalism promises us. But in return, because of the way the government and the economy work together, because of that, we have given up our freedom. Yeah.
Just getting back to the surveillance bit, I've seen a lot of because obviously myself and Desmond and you and a lot of other people have been talking about the fact that we see this big drive for extra surveillance coming out of the pandemic measures that we all have to deal with now. And a lot of us have examined critically some of the things that are being sort of silently slid under the radar, being introduced into our lives that weren't there before. And people have made fun of that online, saying that things, for instance, like, why would anyone want to chip you? They can already track you with your phone. Which of course is true, they can track you with your phone. But just to bring home once again how deep we are into this and what we are facing now, your phone as a tracker device obviously has limitations. You don't always carry your own phone, number one.
Absolutely, you can throw it in the river.
Someone else can carry your phone. You can leave your phone at home when you go wherever. I don't carry it to the shops anymore, just out of principle, because I know what they're currently doing. But that is obviously some of the limitations that a phone will have as a tracking device. You don't have to carry it with you. You can opt out, so to speak. And with a chip, of course, you can't do that, especially in a 5G world where you're going to be surrounded by scanners and cameras that can maybe read and detect things that you can't necessarily even see with your naked eye. But the point is, they want to have something, some device, some object on your body that makes your body, your physical body, part of the smart grid, as we have talked about before. And just one point I need to bring up about the smart grid: if you go search for smart grid on Google or whatever search engine, you're going to see a lot of stuff about electricity grids. That is not the smart grid we're talking about. The smart electricity grid is just one component of the overall sustainable development smart grid, which will be harvesting information from everything that you do, not just your energy use, your water use, where you travel to, how far, who you're seeing, what you're buying, where you're buying it, how much you're buying of it. And the point why this needs to be made part of the smart grid, the physical body, is because the intent is to have everything rationed. People must just understand that. It's not even so much about the tracking, because as you rightly say, there are thousands of ways in which you can be tracked already, although most of them have limitations that it's not attached to your body. It's not only about the tracking. They want to track you, to ration you, and also to manage what you can do and where you can go. Not everyone would be allowed to do the same things and go to the same places. That is the intent of this whole system. So ultimately, it is going to be about economic control, what you can do with your economic energy, your money, whatever the form the money is going to be in at that point. But that is what it's about controlling what actions you can take. That is why they need to track you. Your cell phone alone isn't going to do that job.
And then that also brings back to the cities wanting the majority of the population to live in major cities. And unfortunately, with the mentality of the pandemic we're experiencing, having to keep social distancing, it seems ironic that the part of the Sustainable Development Goals is to shove people into cities, because should a more violent virus break out, then we're all going to die, because we're going to be living on top of each other, because there are densification policies in our local governments right now in cities like Cape Town that are encouraging, almost not really enforcing, but strongly encouraging property developers to build up.
Yeah.
So no longer will you see big spacious houses being built. You're going to see flats on top of each other.
It's already law in Joburg. I actually took footage more than a year ago, and I haven't released it yet. I should really get to doing that. But it's already in Johannesburg, and the laws and regulations have been changed so that exactly that can happen. You think you bought your house in a residential zone where you know what the outcome is going to be in 20, 25 years when you finish paying your bond. You're going to have a residential home that you can sell, or you can leave it to your kids, or you can do whatever with it. because you know what you're going to end up with. Not anymore, because now someone can build a 5-story flat building right next to your house. It's and the meeting I went to actually goes into quite a bit of detail what an absolute mess it is in terms of how the planning for this goes, because they don't, for instance, if there's 180 units, there will only be 150 parking bays, nothing for visitors, and it's just the infrastructure in the areas where these high density developments are going up in Joburg. It's just, it already can't cope with the people that are there. And the people confronted in this meeting, the city officials, about this fact, and all they kept saying is, we will upgrade, the money will be there, because let's be honest, I mean, this is something that I don't think many politicians or even journalists or media commentators can say. I can say it because I don't work for you anymore. But pretty much all the money that goes in anywhere or gets spent, anything that still gets done in the country, is because of sustainable development. If it has nothing to do with that, it just doesn't get done.
Absolutely. Which just proves that our government isn't independent. It's run from outside. So we haven't got a truly South African government that is serving the people at all. We have a government that has been put in place to carry out an agenda that is not in the best interests of the people.
And what people need to understand is this is a big social engineering program. This is the government, and not even our government. It is a bunch of people basically without a country in the United Nations that have came in their systems, that have come up with this plan of how to engineer society for the world, the whole planet, for the next 100 years, for the 21st century. That is quite some megalomanic trip to go on. And to think that you're going to keep everyone happy with a system like that is just, in my mind, delusional. And I think, as we can already see, even though we're only in the sort of beginning phases of the real teeth of this, there's already a lot of resistance to it, although people maybe not, that don't fully understand yet what they're busy resisting. But no matter where they try it, they're upsetting people. So I don't know how long they can keep pushing this ball down the road. What do you think? Because I think that it's already getting to a sticky point.
I think so. I think more people need to become aware of the ideological war we're facing. One that's between individual liberty and collective consciousness, or the collective good. And any ideology that pushes the collective good or doing something for the greater good of everyone is taking away individual freedom. And if individual freedom is important to you, then you need to resist any government decision and anything in society that wants to do things for the greater good in the name of safety and security or progress. And just like you were mentioning with the developments, putting people on top of each other in these dense cities, it's anti-family, it's anti-progress, it goes against health in every way, mental health especially. And it is that social engineering, that psychological engineering, that when we look at these densely created areas, they are ugly and they're small and they're compact and they all look the same. It's communistic. We're creating these little communistic camps, and it's not good for the mind, it's not good for the soul, and society is regressing because of it. And part of OHM, we want society to progress and to continue progressing to the point where government isn't needed anymore. And that point might not be a realistic point in time, but the idea is to work towards that, so that every year government and civil society is working together to become more civil and to not need government as much. So as you progress, you should need government less and less and less. So government should get smaller, people should get taxed less continuously.
Yeah, and that is, one way in which I want to try and make that happen is, and we've spoken a little bit about this before, is to actually try and go 100% against the grain of this globalist plan that is being rolled out, and actually move people into the countryside and start smaller independent communities where you can set up from the start your affairs in such a way that you aren't too dependent, and your communities, your structures and people who live there, and organize yourself so that you don't really need to depend on government for most of your basic things, and you can just get on with your life. I think a lot of people have said to me over the years, so we'll talk about things, for instance, like secession, and how is this going to work? How can you, how can you, excuse me, just separate a piece of a country and form a new one? And I think that's the wrong way to look at it. You must just start doing it. Just start building one. That's I hate to always talk about Oranje, but pardon me. That is the most famous example we have here, is Oranje. And they didn't wait, they just did it. So that is what, if you understand what we're facing and you can see the solution and you want to be part of such a program of setting up independent communities, don't wait for anyone to do it. Find the place, find the people, find the resources, and just set it up from the get-go in such a way that you can pretty much take care of yourself.
Well, that kind of speaks to what Owen wants to do with, there's three things we want to do. That's change the political system, create a new government blueprint, and then create a new economy, an alternative economy. And this is exactly what you're saying. You withdraw from the mainstream economy as much as you're able. So you're giving more power to yourself. And one of the ways we can do that right now is supporting local businesses. Even in the city, even in Cape Town where I live, there are people that are selling vegetables directly from the farm. So you don't have to go to Checkers or Pick n Pay or whoever to buy your groceries or some of your groceries. You can support local people. And there's many people that are coming up with ways to do this. And when we support local businesses, we are helping families survive. Instead of enriching corporations whose CEOs are funneling money outside of this country and exploiting their workers at the same time. So one of the best things we can do right now is support local businesses as far as we can. Grow your own food as far as you can. Harvest your own water as far as you can. And yes, if you can move into the countryside, do it. But you can do it in your backyard if you have a backyard. If you have a complex, you can work together to see what you can do within your complexes. There are ways. And although we might not become fully independent right now, even in the next 2 to 5 years, we can do our best to move away from complete dependency on the government and on corporations.
Any little bit is better than complete dependence.
Definitely.
Absolutely. Well, Lauren, while you're here, I think we will still have plenty more conversations and maybe make some other kinds of videos as well. But thanks for having a little chat with us, and we will talk again pretty soon.
Thank you for listening. If you'd like to know more about the Organic Humanity Movement, we have a website, www.organichumanity.org. We have a Facebook page, which you can find The Organic Humanity Movement. And we also have a YouTube channel by the same name. And then I also have my own personal channel exploring the ideas that we need to fix South Africa. And you can find my channel at Lauren Evanthia.
Please remember to click subscribe and the bell for notifications, and you can find us in the following places.